Hi all, my name's Stephen. I've been with the group for about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm pretty new to all this. I'm going to try and keep this quite brief and simple. I don't want to go too off point. Okay, debt collection letters. I got a letter in the post about a week ago. I don't normally bother with this sort of stuff. I just normally, well, I don't give a toss about it. It means nothing to me really. I'm just sort of straight over my head. But obviously, the more I've been learning and the more I've been doing research and that, I've come across like information and that, and I've decided to act on it because I think it's wrong, basically, and I want to challenge it all. Enough is enough, really, as Theresa May likes to say. Anyway, okay, so what? Yeah, so okay, you have to bear with me because this is my very first video. I've never done a video before. I like to stay in the shadows, stay out of everybody's way. I like to just live my own little life and not bother anybody else and whatever. I'm going to give a little quick shout out to a guy called Mark Christopher. You can check out his YouTube channel. This is where I got some of my information from. He's also got a Facebook page as well. He does webinars. Highly recommend checking him out as well for some more information. The stuff he talks about is incredible. Yeah, so there's a little plug to Mark Christopher. Okay, so I got a letter today. Let me just cover up my name, data protection, all that. I get a letter from these scumbags, Westcott, and I'm just going to point two things out very quickly because I'm sure all of you guys that are watching this, you probably already know about this, but I just want to, for anybody that doesn't understand this, I'm just going to give a little recap. So I just want you to pay attention. There's a Royal Mail stamp there. Well, it's not a stamp, it's called something else, as David said earlier on the phone when I spoke to him. I'm going to do some more research into that. But I want you to take notice of this: private and confidential. Okay, and also got my name covered on the letter. I don't know if you can see it there. Post office, P.O.Box. Sorry, P.O.Box. P.O.Box address. I'll try and get closer. Yeah, P.O.Box address. Also, P.O.Box address on the return address of the envelope for the alleged debt that I was sent. Okay, so you're probably, like I said, you're probably all aware of that. So what I did was, because I've been doing some research, and I come across something on a website for businesses. So I was trying to find out about public and private companies for something that I come across and some research that I was doing, and I've since discovered, and I've checked this out as well, on the, I think it's the UPU, Universal Postal Union. Also, I can't remember which it is, guys, but it's like a law that says, or a statute, or I don't know what it is. I can't remember. I'll have to research it. But I've got clarification of the Royal Mail, which is what I'm going to explain in a short while. So basically, the gist of that is private and confidential. If you're a public company, you cannot use private and confidential on your header. You know, you can't act or operate in a private manner and use the postal service, you know, to convey that, because it's against the law. So what I did was I looked up this company and I wanted to find out if they were a public or private company. One of the ways that you can find out if it's a public company is to find out if they've got any stocks on the stock market or shareholders. Lo and behold, I researched this company, and all of their information, all their details is on there. How much money they're making each year, the list of directors, the list of shareholders. They're a public company. So why are they using private and confidential on their envelopes? mail fraud. Anyway, P.O.Box on the back. Now you guys, sorry, computer's doing this weird thing. You guys have all heard of this, P.O.Box, non-contract venue. That's fact. I got that clarified today, which I'm going to talk about in a minute now. That's mail fraud. Right, so that's a little bit of the background about the letter. So what did I do about it? Well, I decided to phone Royal Mail up, and I wanted to find out. I wanted to find out what this meant, and if it was in fact against the law or whatever. I wanted clarification from Royal Mail, and I'll tell you a little bit about that conversation now. So I was on the phone to Royal Mail for about maybe 35 minutes, half an hour. I got passed through maybe 3 or 4 people until I got to somebody that knew what they were talking about. And I said to him outright, we're trying to be deceitful or anything. I said to him, look, I've had a letter from a debt collection agency alleging that I owe debt. And I just want to clarify the legitimacy, sorry, can't pronounce that word, legitimacy of this letter, because I've been studying law for a couple of years, and I've noticed some things that could possibly, construe mail fraud. So I asked the guy about the private and confidential, the guy from the post office on the phone, about the private and confidential. And he did in fact tell me that it was against the law to act in a private capacity, to write on the letter that you're that it's private and confidential when you are in fact a public company. That is from Royal Mail Post Office. I believe it was in London. I eventually got through to somebody in London that told me that after going through maybe 4 or 5 people. I can't remember exactly. I was on the phone for God knows how long. Also, he did in fact confirm to me that a P.O.Box address is not a real address. It's made up. It doesn't exist. It's just, you cannot. He said to me that a P.O.Box address is in fact a non-contracting venue. He confirmed that to me. He said, yeah, it's true. You can't form a contract using a P.O.Box address. It's against the Royal Mail rules, against postal rules, and the Royal Mail stretches bigger than the UK. It's, you have to look at the UPU and the postal rules and everything. They fall under federal law and everything else. This is a whole other beast. A lot of people don't know about this. So once I got that information from him, and he sounded quite disturbed actually. He said, yeah, that sounds really dodgy. And this is happening to millions of people, isn't it, all over the country? But somebody working in that position will probably not know about it, because when is that guy going to ever get a debt collection letter through the door? Something to think about. Anyway, so yeah, the guy at the post office that I was speaking to gave me the national fraud line number. I can't remember the exact terminology of the fraud number, but I think it's action fraud, national action fraud, or I can't remember anyway. So I found this. I found the fraud line. I speak to a police officer. I'm trying to keep it short now. I basically explained to the police officer what I've just explained to the guy at the post office. The guy who was talking to me and confirmed what I was saying. Now, initially, she was really lovely on the phone, to be fair to her. She was very polite, didn't understand anything about this. So she went to go and speak to her supervisor, and she came back and said that it's something that they don't normally deal in, and that it was, a bit wishy-washy. It didn't really sound like she knew what she was talking about when she came back. So my response to that was, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit now, imagine that I'm speaking to her on the phone. So I turned around to her and I said, right, okay, I'm a little bit troubled. I've been studying law for a few years now. I get a letter in the post, and flags are starting going off in my head. So, you know, for me, you know, my common sense, I go and I go and call the post office to find out, to get clarification for what I've just told you. The post office then tell me that it is in fact against the law and it's a criminal offence, it's breaking the law, and they give me your number to report a crime. And now you're telling me that you may, you know, it's a bit wishy-washy. So my question to you is, who do I report this to? Because I'm in a situation now where I know a crime's been committed. I've had confirmation from the post office that it's mail fraud and it's against the law, and I'm just wondering who am I going to report this to if you're not going to act on it? Bearing in mind now that I forgot to mention that the police officer knows that I'm recording this conversation, or she thinks I'm recording this conversation. So her response to that was, "Oh right, okay, yeah, I sort of see where you're going with this. Yeah, that makes sense." So she goes back to her supervisor. She's gone for a couple of minutes, puts me on hold. When she comes back, that's when she starts taking me seriously. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole thing because all I'm doing is just I have to go over the whole thing again and quote some laws and statutes and stuff, you know, which I'll go into in a minute. And so I spent 40 minutes on the phone with her, going over all that, and basically I've got it's been reported, and now it's being investigated. It's being passed on, and they're going to be shitting their pants, aren't they, when they see this? Because this is never this. As far as I know, I asked the police officer. I said, "Have you ever had a report like this before?" And she said, "No." And that's the main reason why I'm doing this video. This is really important, and you'll see at the end what I'm talking about. I'm just going to shrink the screen so I can go and have a look at what's good. Pages that will save on Google. Bear with me, guys. Okay. Right. Okay. So now this is reported to the fraud office. They're taking me seriously. They're taking all the information. It's lodged. I've got a crime reference number and a password, and I've also got a contact information to get transcripts of today's phone call, so the complaint or witness, whatever you want to call me, reporting a crime, I'm going to get that information. They're going to send that over to me. Hopefully they send that over to me. I'm just going to go very quickly about the laws in which you can look up yourself. Again, Mark Christopher points this out, but it's what I've done with this information is what I'm sharing with you today. So if you haven't seen his videos, if you type into Google Title 18 US code, you don't have to put that, just put Title 18 1341 frauds and swindles, and that will come up. The reason why that's important is because the postal office, the postal service worldwide, comes under federal law, so that law comes into play. And there's a big history. There's, you know, the postal service. It's a whole other beast. Yeah, you've got to go and do your research about that because it's embedded in our history, what it's about, and there was a purpose why it came about. Also, the police officer that I spoke to. So if I'm rambling on now, I'm going to try and cut this down now. I pointed out to the police officer that the Fraud Act 2006 comes into play because it's fraud by false representation. I also pointed out to her that Section 11, obtaining services dishonestly, but they're trying to obtain some sort of service dishonestly or some sort of contract, and they're doing that through mail fraud. So the bottom line is this has now been recorded. This has now been reported to the police, and this has been reported to the fraud office. And I guess my whole point of this video is, and this is the important part, is people are sending these back, return to sender, which is great. You should be doing that because you don't want to be complicit in a crime. You don't want to be knowingly knowing it's fraud and then just not doing anything about it. If you know it's fraud, send it back. But the important thing is, what I'm suggesting you do is photocopy these, front and back envelope, scan it and photocopy it, and then photocopy what they send you. Keep that as evidence. Send the original back, and again, I'm going to plug Mark Christopher. Look on his YouTube channel, and he will show you how to return to sender, stop and correct mail fraud. Mark Christopher, if you haven't seen it already, go and look it up. That's how you would send it back. Now the next stage is what I did today. Was phoned. This is what I think is really important that everybody should stop doing. Phone the post office and explain to them your concerns, and get them to clarify this, the P.O. Box, and that. If you've done your research and you know the company that's sending you these letters, or a public company, then it's fraud, and the post office are going to confirm that. So then you're covering your ass when you phone the fraud office, because the post office have basically said, yes, it's fraud. Oh, you should report that. Okay, I will. So the police have never had this report before. This has never been reported before to the police, to the fraud office. So how do we expect this to stop, or these scumbags to be taken down and exposed, when actually we're fighting the right battles, but we're not going in the right areas? You know, this is what I think. You know, they may be able to brush one person under the carpet, but they can't brush 1,000 people under the carpet, can they? If 1,000 people come round and report fraud, then they're fucked, aren't they? You know? So that's my message. That's what happened today. I'm sorry if I've gone off point a little bit, or like I said, this is my first video that I've ever done. So I just wanted to get this information out there. And it's, you know, like I said, it's great that you're sending these back, but photocopy them, keep them as evidence, and report it, because it's against the law. It's a crime. You know, report it as a crime. If enough people report this, it's going to open up a whole fucking can of worms, isn't it? All right, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for listening to me. I'm sorry if I haven't explained it anything properly. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comment box. Peace. Thank you.